Welcome to BVP's Top 3, where we talk about the biggest stories, 3 of the biggest stories in the land going on that you need to know about from a Christian perspective with Bob Vander Plaats, President and CEO of the Family Leader, who joins me now from Florida, right, Bob? That's where you're at today?
Yeah, maybe that should be three BVP's 3 plus. Last time, obviously, we recorded this, I was still in Des Moines. And as most people know, the month of February, Darla and I usually get to Marco Island, Florida. And so we're actually in Marco Island. And I'm not trying to rub it in at all as I see a winter storm warning is coming in. And the reason I say that, our kids are coming in tomorrow morning to Florida. They're flying in for a few days. So we don't need flights to be delayed or anything like that. But no, we're enjoying the Sunshine State. Obviously, Florida is one of our states of the Daniel Impact. And so we're doing kind of a combination of continuation of ministry, but also some R&R down here as well.
Well, let's talk about those big 3 stories going on. We're going to highlight 3 stories. They're not necessarily the biggest, but they are ones where Christians are definitely taking a look at and should be paying attention to. And speaking of paying attention to, just about the whole country, paying attention to a big football game this past Sunday. Bob, did you happen to be able to catch it down in Florida?
We were able to watch it. And what's interesting about that, Drew, is going into the game, I said, guys, I watched the Chiefs win. They're in their AFC championship game. I watched the Eagles win their NFC championship game. I said, I don't think this game's even going to be close. I think the Eagles are going to dominate this one. And I guess the score to be 44-18. And I almost got laughed out of the room. And it was 40-22. So a little bit of prophetic Bob when it comes to NFL football. But yeah, we really enjoyed the game. And Drew, I think what we talked about earlier is that the commercials, there seemed to be an American theme all the way through, whether it be the Budweiser commercial with the young Clydesdale again. It wasn't some trans messaging to the American public, but it was kind of like embracing who we are as Americans and what makes us great again. And I think even, I heard a lot of comments about that Jeep commercial with Harrison Ford.
Right.
Kind of reminding us, remember when he said, we don't have to know them to wave at them. We should greet them. And I'm thinking, Harrison, you need to come to Iowa. We wave at everybody. We say hi to everybody. But again, it was an inspiring commercial about almost love your neighbor as yourself. And again, there's that patriotic theme. There was also a lot of buzz before the game about Trump going to be at the game. And so Trump is at the game. I kind of wish they probably would have done a little bit more just to recognize that he was there. And the only reason I say that is that we should honor those in authority. And obviously Trump has authority. Maybe show a little bit more honor that way. But overall, the halftime entertainment, I think it was wholesome. It wasn't my cup of tea. It wasn't something that I would enjoy. But having Lauren Daigle, I believe, singing God Bless America to a New Orleans vibe. There's a lot about this Super Bowl that I really enjoyed. Now, if you're a Chiefs fan, I know you're going to disagree with me. I'm a Vikings fan, so I've got my own misery. But, all the way around, even Patrick Mahomes, his press conference after the game, I thought he just handled that with a lot of class.
Mm-hmm. Noticed also the Eagles head coach had some things to say at the end of the game, just giving glory to God. And so a lot of positive vibes coming out of that game and that spectacle.
I'm glad you brought that up, Drew, because I saw that on Twitter right away, is that how many sport teams, sports coaches, star athletes are stopping at about every turn when they're having success and saying, listen, God gave us the gifts, God gave us the talents. We're trying to maximize them. We're trying to use them for his glory. What a great way to use that platform. So kudos to him, the Eagles, and, the Chiefs. Holy cow. You won 2 Super Bowls. You didn't get a three-peat, but you'll go down as one of the best teams in history.
All right, moving on to topic number 2, we're looking at the federal government. We've seen a lot of great things coming out of DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, being more responsible with taxpayer dollars, cutting wasteful spending, cutting politically agenda type spending that the American people wouldn't support if they knew it was going on. And speaking of which, Bob, we've been talking about one area where the government is spending hundreds of millions of dollars to do something that is deplorable. Bob, what have we been talking about?
Hey, Drew, I just love what President Trump and Elon Musk and before that Vivek Ramaswamy, what they were doing and just exposing the waste of government. Like, what are we doing? One that's gotten a lot of attention right now is the U.S. aid and saying, all the pork that got stuffed into that bill. And again, Americans don't know about it. And it sounds like a really good thing to do, a very plausible thing to do until you get in that bill and go, what are we spending our money on? But the one that I tweeted out about, and I know that there's some other conservative leaders too that are just really pushing is the easy one. Get the low hanging fruit. You have to take, I believe it's the 700 million, Drew,
That's
away
about right,
from
annually. Mhm.
yeah, away from Planned Parenthood annually. They're using those funds to kill babies, and we want to make sure that gets stopped. But if they're going to exist, make that exist on other people's dime, not on the government's dime. The family leader doesn't receive federal funds because I'm sure there'll be a lot of people up in arms because we want to hold fast and firm to biblical values and truths and have it applied to the culture. Well, in the same fashion, we don't want our dollars spent to the, as you said, the unthinkable, which is the funding of Planned Parenthood. Our own state senator, Joni Ernst out of the state of Iowa, she has a bill already queued up to defund Planned Parenthood. And I want to make sure it's not just a partial defunding, but root that thing out. We don't want any more funds going to Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, one of the things that's been the top story with DOGE is Americans being upset. A lot of that money doing good things, yes, but when you see $122 million go to funding terrorist organizations,
I know it.
people are saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, stop! Something is wrong. Something's corrupt here." And I know there are people who make the argument that Planned Parenthood does good things, but $700 million annually going to an organization that kills 300,000 to 400,000 Americans a year, uh, no amount of good deeds is going to merit that 700 million a year.
Yeah, and this is a simple one, Drew. We're happy to support things with for women's health or things that would benefit the family, support the family, nurture children growing up. But the key is going to be there as long as you don't kill babies. I mean, if you kill babies, then you're not eligible for these funds. Otherwise, you can be eligible for funds. So when Planned Parenthood goes, look at all the great things that we do. First of all, I question some of the great things they do, but look at all the great things that we do. But you also kill babies, and that's your anchor. That's your profit driver. So yes, take away the money, and that's the low hanging fruit. And they would send a message they're serious right away by taking that 700 million away from Planned Parenthood.
Americans shouldn't have to pay for that.
Amen.
Speaking of cutting funds, that's the national level. What we're seeing, though, leads us to our third big point of the day, is that at the state level, there is a movement catching on to continue this responsible use of taxpayer funds, and we're seeing leadership come right here out of Iowa. Bob, talk to us about that.
Well, leaders inspire leaders. And so what you're seeing with President Trump and Elon Musk with DOGE is that we're going to slim down federal government. And it's inspiring a lot of states to say we're going to slim down state government. I mean, we're going to start analyzing all the dollars that we spend because they're not our dollars to begin with. These are the people's dollars. Uh, but it's kind of one of those things about, well, what came first? Okay. So Governor Reynolds was just in Washington, D.C. last week, a story that I didn't think got much play at all, but should have got a lot more play. She sat for 4 hours in front of a congressional subcommittee talking about how Iowa's become a model state, how she's reduced the number of agencies almost by half, how she's slimmed government spending, how she's made Iowa a vibrant state with better results all the way through. And I'm just telling you, we were so proud of her being our governor of Iowa. But now, after being in DC, and Drew, when's the last time you've heard me say, I went to DC and I was inspired to come back home and do something? Yeah, I think that's what happened. She went to DC, she got inspired, and now she's coming back home going, we can do even more at the state level. But she's focused on Iowa being the leader, and that's a good thing for states to have competition with being a leader, especially in these areas.
Kudos to Governor Reynolds for setting an example and then taking an example and running it further. Hey, if you've been watching us today, thanks for tuning in to BVP's Top 3. If you've been watching on social media, I encourage you to check out our website at thefamilyleader.com. And if you've been watching us on our website, let me flip it around and say, hey, check us out on our social media at The Family Leader on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. Thank you, Bob, for joining us from Florida. We look forward to next week, and thank you for watching BVP's Top 3.